function. Excellent. Okay. Interesting current perspective to reach desired goals. Excellent. So I think we've got diversity, as I think. No wonder we do have very diverse set of thoughts. I just compiled. The first statement I really want to make is, for sure, I think what growth means to you is very personal, and this is the first time over the years that if you start getting confused with what is growth as per someone else's definition, I think that's a first step for confusion. So for some people, growth could mean it's all about wealth and materialistic ways of maybe wealth creation or asset creation or financial benchmarks. Yeah, I mean there could be one benchmark. For someone else, it could just be going as my character, as to what I stand for, all that kind of growth. That could be a different dimension. Living the values. For some people, this could be growth and growing your talent, as someone mentioned already. Become. You set a kind of some long-term goal and you want to achieve, so that itself is growth and inspired to do or make a difference, as someone mentioned beautifully. More, both, or it could be one after the other. But it's just interesting, depending on which stage of life we are in. Sometimes I think this growth aspect gets matured in our own thought process. At a very early age, growth might mean that, okay, the next 10 years, 15 years, I need to grow like this. But after certain perspective, you might start redefining, your own definition of growth. But at any stage, I think one question for you to consider thinking about is, are you more of a experience-driven person, or are you more of an achievement-driven person? I mean, these two words are very interesting kind of a thoughts. Experience means, okay, enjoy whatever comes to your life and whatever life has to offer you. Go through the journey and enjoy every moment. Everything is an opportunity, everything is an experience. Just keep enjoying. So, somebody's perspective. For someone else, it could be, no, I think I need to achieve something. I need to reach some milestone. I need to become somebody. So that kind of a person, right? To my mind, honestly, I think we need a blend of both. We need definitely a blend of both. The closest analogy that I can immediately think of is, just imagine you are driving in a very thick traffic. Definitely, your destination, where you want to reach. So that's the sense of achievement. But it's a thick traffic. It's not moving, creating all hurdles. It's creating traffic jams. It is at that time you turn on the FM and enjoy the music. So that is experience. So you enjoy the experience, but never miss your destination. You always keep your eyes on your achievement, but at the same time, on a daily basis, keep enjoying the entire experience. To my mind, I think it's both. But if you ask yourself this personal question, which one is more dominant in you? I think that is what some people who are highly achievement-oriented people can become very restless. This is almost like I'm in a tearing hurry to reach my destination, stuck in a traffic jam and so irritated with everything that's happening. And does it help you to reach your destination faster? No, it's just creating a poor life experience, and it doesn't help you in achieving. So an excessive sense of achievement and the lack of experiential kind of a feeling, or just sticking only with experience but not having any specific destination to reach, I think both extremes could be different scenarios. But you may like to ask this yourself, what kind of a person you are. That might be a worthy question to think as you keep defining a sense of growth yourself. Now, the other one that I have understood is, when you ask this question yourself, that what is growth to me personally, you will start probing this question and you will evolve yourself as a person and you will develop a sense of clarity. And the interesting part is, there is so much that is happening all around that sometimes if you do not believe in that clarity very deep inside, and you could be so oscillating. I think that's where I said 3 C's are very important. First is the sense of clarity about, hey, what is growth to me? Figure that out. Can I figure that out? Okay, it may be different from others, but it something means something to me. That's the first one. But then start believing in that very strongly and very deeply. If you do not have the conviction, trust me, there are so many people, there is so much around our life that can create more confusion in our mind about what is growth. Because when I think I made it very clear to myself, someone will come and suggest something else as growth. So I might be tempted to pursue that and here and all of that. So I think we might just go in multiple directions. So I think you just to develop a sense of conviction. First is the clarity, then the conviction. And the third one is most interesting thing. This is something that I learned from my switches that I made in my the changes. You need to have courage at the end of the day to pursue your own personal growth. You need courage, because I think the world will keep on judging you. This is something which is world is so habitual about. The world around us always keep on judging us. Oh, that is not growth. Oh, why are you choosing that? This one. They can raise too many questions and start denting your own conviction. And to stand up to all of that, I need to have courage, right? This is my clarity. This is what I believe in. Thank you so much for your suggestion, but I'm good pursuing this whole thing. So these 3 C's are very, very important for personal growth. And if any of these 3 is missing, trust me, I think we will be just moving in multiple directions without really fixing our eyes on anything. This thought, this particular insight led me to the very first course, which I really worked on. This was the first course that I actually recorded a few months back. Because I felt for everything, this is a starting point. I really developed something called MVB. Most of you will be remembering what is the one thing that we have behind our credit card. Do you remember what we have behind our credit card? We have a CVV. It says don't share your CVV to anyone, right? Yeah, CVV is so critical for your credit card. But I think MVV is equally important for our personal growth. Now, what is CVV in a credit card? I think to me, MVV is that for my personal growth. What MVV stands for? MVV stands for simply mission, a vision, and values. Mission, vision, and values. For myself, I'm not trying to create for an organization which we are all very used to. What is the vision of your company? What is the mission of your organization and all that? But I am asking the same. When you say mission, and I'm just going to keep it very, very simple because time is not much for today, but just in a nutshell, what is the theme of your life? The theme of your life, if you talk about many movies, right? We KGF, oh my action movie, excellent. RRR is all drama. You actually say all of that, and Kantara is all about little, spiritual, little, thriller kind of a thing. But if I ask the same question to you, what is the theme of your life? Is it as someone said, it's all about helping more and more people. So helping seems to be the theme of someone's life, the theme. Or someone said, I want to grow and acquire more wealth. So acquisition is the theme of my life. So what is the theme of your life? And that itself is a very important question to explore. That's the mission. And the vision is, what is that long-term goal that you want to really achieve? That's the vision. I have some big dream, this is where I want to be. And the values, which are very, very important. But come what may, I want to achieve my goal, or I want to achieve it in a certain boundaries. I want violating, operate within these principles or ethics or whatever. All of that, values. So if you talk about this, then I think MVB is so very critical part of our personal growth. So this is the first step. Naturally, my entire insight led me to design this particular course. And someone just asked me a very important question. What is conviction? Conviction is a very deep belief that I believe in what I think is growth according to my own sense of clarity. Obviously, I think we will calibrate, we'll think, we'll dwell into that carefully before settling into some definition of growth. But once I decide, believe in that. Otherwise, every second person can come and give me a suggestion about what should be growth to me. And we need to listen to everyone and we will be oscillating. That means I lack conviction, a deep sense. So that was one question. The other one is, how is to maintain conviction consistently be on a practical side? Yes, I think that is where you need the third C, which is courage. Because when people are commenting, when people are judging, when people are saying a lot of things, I still say, thank you very much for all your comments, but I still believe, I think what I'm pursuing is what I enjoy doing. So this is my definition of growth. Anyway, thank you very much for the suggestion. To state that itself, it requires a lot of courage. It's not very easy to stand up to all that judgment, all that noise. And believe me, formalizing these MVB, that really helped me personally. I'm telling you about my personal experience. Way back in 1997, that was maybe now when I look back 25 years ago, I formally written down my MVB, right? And that really helped me to the focus. It really helps when you start constructing your personal vision, your MVB and all. How does it really help? It helps getting the focus right. And then once the focus is right, it channels all our energies. Otherwise, we'll go in different direction. The best example that I can always say, how to burn a newspaper or just a paper. When you take the magnifying glass and put that with the high focus, it has capacity to generate so much of energy. It burns. That kind of a fire you will be able to create if you have this sense of clarity. It channels all your energies and then be able to create a fire. And more importantly, very insightful thing that I've learned is I also help to grow from being successful to meaningfully successful to happily successful. Anyone can become successful. If I say, yeah, I wanted to achieve it, I have achieved it. Excellent. But if that is also making a difference to someone else, then you feel, yeah, I think what I've achieved is also meaningfully successful. But then you also have done that while living your own values, your own principles, you're not violated anything, there is no guilt. Then I think you are happily successful. Then you are happily successful. So there is a very subtle difference between successful, meaningfully successful, and happily successful. At what stage are we? Most people are very comfortable traveling the journey of success. But the bliss that you experience, the joy that you experience is several times multiplied. Pursue happily successful kind of a path. But that means your growth, your concept of growth, you may have to consider a lot of other critical people in your life. Because sometimes, in our anxiety to grow and whatever achieve that so-called success, we might actually ignore some of the people who matter most. I'm not saying you need to please everybody in the world, but there will be some people who will matter to you. And if you ignore even them and you will become successful, I'm not sure whether you'll be happily successful. Well, it feels very lonely. That's why I think sometimes we find some people who are extremely successful, but inside themselves, they're not very happy. But that's something that they will share only at a very, very personal level. But outwardly, they're extremely successful. But as a holistic person, they're not truly happy inside themselves. So therefore, I'm saying this MVB might actually help you to move from successful to meaningfully successful to happily successful. This itself is evolving as a person like this. And of course, at a very special level, ask me, once you clarify the growth, it also helps make some of the career choices. Keeping that mission, keeping that values, keeping that vision in mind, you can, and that led me to the next course, which I designed, which is all about designing happier careers. And what I understood in this one is, when you are pursuing your career, every time your mind pushes you to comparisons. I think this is a big kind of problem. Oh, that person is growing so much, that person is earning so much, that person is doing, whenever, and it's very human. Okay, I will not complain about my mind at all. Mind is always prone to comparisons. But when I have to stick to what I have chosen, I need to go back and remind myself about, hey, who defined growth for me? I defined it, right? Do I believe in that? Yes, I have conviction. Do I have courage to stand up to that? Yes, I have courage to stand up. Then why are you even getting into these comparisons? This is your choice. And sticking to your choice is growth. Sticking to the choices that you made itself is growth. And how many people can actually stand up to the choices that they make in life? So you are already successful. You're already growing as a person by sticking to your conviction. So whenever you get into the human mind gets into comparisons, I think we need to remind ourselves about the 3 C's. Otherwise, believe me, this may be a strong word. Some people may not like it, but I will still say, beware of some of the so-called branded prisons. Why I use this word is I've talked to thousands of people, and some of them do share, this is not what I want to do in life. Okay, then why are you doing it? Oh, this company is so big, and if I quit this company, what will people think? So I said, company is great from their perspective, definitely, but if it's not working out for you, then why are you in a branded prison? It's a great brand, but you are a prisoner in that brand. When I say prisoner, that means you don't feel a sense of liberty. You don't feel happy. And you just struggle as if you're caught and caged there. And that means that's not, you're not growing. You're not growing. You're just bottling yourself up. Right? So therefore, I call this as a beware of the branded prison. I mean, it's a very strong word, but I think to be used in a very specific context. Now, so far, I think this discussion has been more about how to clarify what is personal growth and how do I design kind of what is my MVP, what are my values, what are my visions, etc. kind of thing. What are my career goals, etc. But the key thing that I've noticed, many people fail after this. Even with some help, people might reach this stage of personal growth. But real success is here. Biggest challenge for many is to make it work. This design that I have created, it has to work. I need to see it in action. That is where I think I see a lot of gap between what I want to do and what I end up doing. What I want to do, what I end up doing. I think there seems to be a huge gap in many occasions. And the reason being, I've specifically understood that these 3 P's are the killer P's. According to me, I think killer P's. They silently stunt. They don't really allow us to grow. Unless I conquer these 3 P's, I think my personal growth will be really disappointing. It will be very slow, or it may not even happen. What are the 3 P's? One is definitely procrastination. I might feel shy to admit, but I do admit that drrajcourses.com took so long to arrive. I think one of the primary reasons I will admit openly in this webinar is my own sense of procrastination. Till I conquered my own procrastination, this never became a reality. It's been there for almost 6-7 years. It's been there in my mind. I wanted to write books first, which I never did. And I really wanted to do more webinars, which I never did before, so many. But I had to conquer. I need to work on myself. I say, come on, how long? And then I started in June, and in August, the 5 courses were up. What has taken so long for me when I concentrated and I believed in my entire goal? It in three months straight. What took me so long? Procrastination. It's a silent killer. It doesn't really allow you to grow. And I might feel, I might give a lot of reasons, what to do here. I mean, my work is like that, project is like that, my boss is like that, children are growing. I can have umpteen number of reasons. But all of that is to really, cover up my procrastination, honestly speaking. Unless I conquer that, there is no true growth. The next one is killer P is perfectionism. Now, there are so many people who always want to say, no, once I do something, it should be perfect. It should be 100% perfect. And the in is even Lata Mangeshkar ji, after singing so many songs, to later on, after so many years, she criticized her own songs. And according to us, she is a perfectionist evaluating their own work will spot. There is nothing called perfection. I started now believing that I think action is more important than perfection. Action is more important than perfection. I think this is my belief these days. Do something, keep on improving it. Keep on this. I think that will give you some growth. I'm trying, one day I will deliver the best. What is procrastination? I think that was a question. Procrastination is all post things. A tendency to keep on putting off things and say, I think I'll do tomorrow. I'll do it on Monday. I'll do it later. And I'll find some excuse. And I'll find some excuse to do that. Yes, I think it is a self-excuse. And seriously, it is an excuse. And if you want to conquer procrastination, we need to stop giving reasons. And the second one is perfection. Action is more important than perfection. And the third one is, while I did say that in your growth plan, consider those people who matter to you most. Yes, I think you should keep. That doesn't mean that you have to keep pleasing every next person that you come across. You can't keep on saying yes to everyone. This is something that I have understood. If my focus is all right, and for example, during this 3 work on drrajcourses.com, if there were some personal events I had to attend or some functions to participate, I had to politely say no. I might have displeased some of those people. Be it, it's okay, because I had to achieve something, and in that process I could not please everybody. What to do? I had to say no on a few occasions. All of this led me to the third course, which I have put together more interestingly as managing self to manage time. It's not time management. A lot of people tend to think time management. What can I do with 24 hours? 24 hours is given to you, to me. It's the same thing. Within 24 hours, how myself. It's the key thing is I need to manage myself and utilize my time. Time is equally available to you and to me. But within the time, how do I manage myself seems to be the trick. It is not about time management. It is about managing self to utilize the time, not even the managing time. So this helped me to understand that you need to constantly go back and check your MVP, every hour that you're spending. This webinar, how is it fitting into your overall kind of thing? Why are you spending 1 hour here? Why are you sitting in some meetings? Why are you wasting time? Why are you watching television? Why are you not reading a book? Everything, you need to align your priorities, where your time is going to your goals and your own MVP. And if you constantly calibrate, you tend to become little disciplined about yourself. This questioning is not with an anger. It is to discipline ourselves. And you end up doing something else instead of doing something meaningful. Those are unless I conquer, I will not be able to truly in real sense on the ground. Learn to say occasionally and very politely without spoiling our relationship. We should be able to say no. I think this is something which many people struggle with, right? So therefore, I did cover these aspects as a part of managing self. I think if you end up saying yes to everything, you will not be able to focus on your personal growth. And then lastly, I think I also captured 2 very important skills which I've noticed that they are playing extremely critical role in achieving personal growth. Those 2 skills are very important because For my growth, yes, I'm talking about my own personal growth, but for my personal growth, I can't achieve it on an island, right? I'm not in isolation. I'm an interdependent world. I have to influence people and I want to help somebody. I want to make a difference. Whatever is your definition of growth, you are always working with others. And in that whole context, if I don't master two essential skills, I think my growth concept will be on paper and in my mind, but I will not be able to actually achieve it on the ground. This is something that I have really understood again the hard way, because way back in 1987, if someone saw me just at the beginning of my career, I couldn't even speak one line of English properly, not even one sentence of English properly. And you can very well imagine what was the hardship that I faced in expressing myself, trying people were just ignoring me. I was not able to do anything there. I understood the hard way. I think, my God, I think English is important. But then I kept growing in my career. Then a stage came where I understood, my God, this is not about English. There is so much more about your communication skills, because I have come across people, I always keep asking people that the well-spoken English spoken people, what kind of blunders sometimes they commit? Have you come across people who are extremely fluent in English, but at the same time they are misunderstood, they don't understand others? Have you come across people like that? I have come across tons of people like that. They are outstanding in their English, but English is not making them great communicators. That's because communication has got so much more. This is something that I have learned. When you're pursuing growth path, you're pursuing your vision, you need some other people, you need to get a lot. All our lives all around communication. And it's not English. It's all about others. It's all about others. What do they understand? How do they get? How do they understand? How they are convinced? Right? How to influence? How to gain their support? Many people even struggle how to strike a conversation, including myself many years ago. Now I'm slightly better, but several years ago, I was literally struggling even to strike a meaningful conversation. Now I can just say, how do I grow as a person, as a professional, if I don't even know how to strike a decent conversation and engage people meaningfully? And this seems to be the most important kind of a skill. And this is not about English. This is all about authenticity. This is much more about authenticity, being very authentic about yourself. So these are all the things that I have understood, and I said this is much beyond English. The other skill that I also understood much later, this is more recent one that I understood for the last about 7-8 years, has been, despite all of that, still I think sometimes your presence is not felt. Presence, the concept of presence is that you should be noticed, you should be heard. And when you are able to achieve these two, then you are able to make an impact. If you're ignored, you're just there, but you're not heard, then how can you make any impact? How can you achieve any sense of growth? How can you make your vision a reality? So making your presence felt is extremely important. And I understood for a very reason that in a crowded world that we are living in, no one has got so much of time to give you days together, years together. In a very short span of time, they need to feel your presence, right? This webinar is for only 1 hour, and that's all that I have with you, right? So similarly, in many of your own personal occasions, you will have only that much time. Within that, through your work, through your communication, through all your skills, you need to make your presence felt. So growth needs vision, vision needs action, action needs relations, relation needs communication, communication helps your presence, and your presence creates an impact. Ultimately, this is something where I have understood most of the experienced people also missed out on this aspect. They work so hard, they're relentless in their pursuit, but still they feel I'm not able to still create that impact that I would have otherwise wanted to do this. I'm still ignored by people, my own organization, my own team. Not that I'm working any less harder. I'm working very hard, but still people don't make feel my presence. How do I make my presence felt? This led me to the whole thing, because I felt personal growth without creating an impactful presence is not possible. This is the let me I a couple of other questions in a very soon. Let me just wrap it up. This is how I actually I hope you appreciate the the poetic thinking in my mind when I chose this particular visual about 5 pearls. These 5 pearls are nothing but my 5 courses, these insights. I have now put them all together, because together they create personal growth. Not just each one of them in isolation, but together they create this personal growth. And so in a nutshell, firstly, define your own growth measure. And this needs a little bit of time to think and calibrate. Don't jump at your first instinct. Think and ask yourself some deep questions. What is growth according to me? And then formalize that in the form of MVB. Your own mission, vision, values. I think it has got a lot of power when you articulate formally. And align your career choices with your MVB. I wanted to, let me tell you very openly. My mission was in 1997, what I wrote was to help people realize their fullest potential. This is what I wrote in 1997, to help people realize their fullest potential. Exactly what I kept in mind when I kept changing my jobs, or when I started entrepreneurship, when I do coaching session, when I do webinars. Everything has underlying theme of how can I be any small part of someone's growth. I think so. My career choices are always MBB, and therefore that's the reason I'm into my 36th year of work, but I'm still not tired. I still enjoy what I do. The next one is remember and remind yourself about these 3 C's. 3 C's, I hope you remember: clarity, passion, and courage. 3 very important mantras. Otherwise, we will be so oscillating. The next one, prioritize, prioritize, and prioritize. You can't do everything that this world has to offer. For sure, there's more excitement than what I can consume. There are so many channels on YouTube, but I can only watch what I can watch in the time available to me. Grab the entertainment stuff, the content that is there on YouTube. So I need to make my choices and avoid my procrastination, perfectionism, and people pleasing, and utilize the communication skills to connect, act, and impact. I think these 3 are very, very connect, act, and impact. I need to master communication, and that is definitely. And lastly, notice person. I think this is a very, very important kind of using to sum it up is credibility. Ultimately, we're all sum and substance of ours is credibility. Credibility. Are you taken seriously as a person? I think it's a very first important thing before someone trusts you, someone listens to you, someone cares to support you. Everything is revolving around your own credibility as a human being. Right? So this is what I have understood, what I have learned, and I put together as a part of these 5 themes, which all put together forms a sense of personal growth. All right. So this is where I think I'll pause right now. We do have another 10, 11 minutes, which I have successfully achieved in sparing that kind of time to respond to more and more questions from you. Let it be a nice dialogue, and you can keep typing your questions in the chat box. I'm now looking at it. Yes, I think Shyam Sundarji made a mention of procrastination. Can it also be fear of failure? Absolutely, sir. I think it's very, very true that we tend to put it off because I'm not sure of myself. And also there's another tendency to procrastinate the tougher tasks, the bigger and more complex the task. I tend to say, yeah, I think it requires a lot of concentration. Let me do it tomorrow, fresh in the morning. is a usual temptation, but it's not about the complexity of the task that is making you postpone. It is your fear of tackling that complexity that is pushing you away. You're absolutely right. It could also be very inherent procrastination, and there is no big consequence of doing it. You know, if I write a book, I don't write a book. How does it really matter? Whether I develop drrajcourses.com, I haven't created a website. How does it really matter? So there is no big consequence if it is not attached. You tend to postpone. And the other one that I've noticed, the reason for procrastination seems to be that, the sense of personal accountability to yourself is the most difficult one. We are always accountable to our bosses, our clients, and for someone else. But being accountable to self is the most complex thing. And that is one hidden reason for procrastination, the way I've understood. And Rahul's other question, how to take self-control to do things in our favor? That phrase, self-control, is the toughest one. Self-control, self-management, self-discipline, it is the complex thing that I think we need to have. And for that purpose, I am emphasizing the MVP. Because if I know that this is my vision and this is my mission, I need to pursue that. Time is running out. I need to act on it. If I have some prompt coming very visibly in front of me, then I think it might actually prompt act on something. And so we are trying to create a little inherent stimulus for us to act on ourselves, right? It could be fear of bosses or clients or jobs or whatever it is that makes us work. But if it is all about personal growth, I think that's where the problem comes. If I grow, if I don't grow, who cares? And that is where I think I need to manage myself much better. So self-control can be enhanced by reminding ourselves about those MVVs. Is passion not a requirement? Yes, sir. Passion, mission. Your passion is verbalized in the form of a mission statement. Yes, my passion is to help people, but I have now given a structure to that. Is how do I help means what? I help people realize their fullest potential. This is what I have written. Yes, my passion is to help people, but I have given a shape to that passion, because passion otherwise can be very, very an emotional kind of a thing. It doesn't have a concrete shape. So if you want to give a concrete shape, I think you should convert that into a mission. Is digital growth equally important? Digital, sir, I think digital is all about tools. The plenty of tools. So today, what I'm doing is essentially interacting with so many of you. It's made possible because of digital platform. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to so many people. Today, I think 50 plus people are in this webinar. I wouldn't have been able to reach this. So digital, I think, is a nice tool that these days available, and digital is also a distraction. Digital is a tool, digital is also a distraction. I think you tend to you initiate a search on internet for a specific thing, and then Google starts suggesting so many other things, and we'll keep on opening all the websites. And the next, I wanted to spend 5 minutes, I ended up spending 30 minutes. And this is very, very common. And same thing happens on YouTube. Same thing happens on Prime. Everywhere. I think digital is a help and is also a distraction. Is fear of failure relating to lack of courage? Courage to face failure. Courage to face failure. I think it's more about, we are so much too successful to be successful all the time. But I think success en route will come with a lot of failures as well. I think graceful take our failures also into account. But I think we are more and more only how to be successful, and all the case studies are all success driven, and no documents. And we talk them about quietly. We talk about them very quietly. Line level of perfection, okay for me. Yeah, I think deliberately we don't want to be imperfect. That's for you're truly a professional. We always want to do something. Focus instead on continuous improvement. Never be satisfied. In fact, I've learned one thing from one of my very early bosses of in corporate was always carry healthy dissatisfaction. Look at the description. I really loved it. Healthy dissatisfaction. I mean, today I've done this webinar. I've done it in one way, right? I've really put in my effort. But can I do better next time? Yes, definitely. Yes. Right. That could be a better way than saying and having butterflies in my stomach, say, oh my God, tomorrow's webinar has to be perfect. I don't know. I mean, I will not do any job even today, but I can do better maybe. So improvement is possibly a better frame of than to say that I will settle for something which is less than. I think there are so many more. What is the difference? Yeah, we want to excel. I mean, excellence, I think, to me is very, very continuous kind of process. And perfection is like we think there is something absolute, and which actually doesn't exist, according to me. It's all very contextual. As of today, this is perfect. Tomorrow, as I was mentioning Lataji's example, she might herself discover that sung this song even better. But that's continuous improvement once again. It's always the case. What are the methods or ways forward your advice to reconcile the growth parameters, even if feel what I should have level of growth as my at a certain point of time in the even if I feel what I should have that level of growth as my aspiration. I'm not sure if I have understood that question, correctly, that how do I keep calibrating my own growth parameters from time to time? I think there are two things that I'm talking about. When I talk about vision, mission, I'm talking about the long term. And when I talk about career and goals, I'm talking very specific, which is more medium term kind of a thing. So if it's something to do with my own immediate promotion, my own elevation and all that is a part of my career goals. They're part of it. But in the holistic life perspective, then my growth as a person is all about my mission and my vision and values. How do I surpass the hurdles in between to achieve our passion? Definitely, sir, I think no path is an easy path. But what keeps us going is the commitment, the conviction to achieve that vision and the mission. And that if you're truly convinced that I think that's what I want to pursue, come what may, you will fall, you will get up, you will fall, you will get up, you won't give up. When you lack conviction, I think the first hurdle, first speed breaker, you want to get off and then board another bus. The first hurdle, I think you want to give up because you're not truly committed. You don't develop that conviction inside you. Therefore, I strongly suggested those 3 C's. I need to ask 100 times before I plunge in. There was some people ask me this question that when you're doing so well in corporate, what prompted you to jump out and start HR Footprints and, this entrepreneurship and, why are you giving away? And in fact, recently someone asked me this question. Normally you charge quite a lot and why are you charging only 999 for your courses? Are you not underselling? I said, see, this is how someone wants to evaluate me. But if I'm not convinced, why am I doing what I'm doing? I will then respond to every question. And I'll keep on responding. But I know for sure my purpose is something else. So if this is going to help me, do that, be it. So I think the answer to surpass the hurdles, the method to do this is to develop deep conviction and commit yourself to your mission and values and your vision. And if that is oscillating, every second person can really make us more oscillating. What kind of discipline to be taken for managing self-time? How to prioritize this thing? That's the question, which is something that I have delved into through my course on managing self to manage time. Because firstly, I think it's all about your goals, then it's all about your priorities, then how to conquer these 3 P's, and then how to say no, all of that. And more importantly, keep doing your own time audit, time utilization audit. Now, some of these things is essentially what I packed as, tips and tools as a part of it. I think that's a very rigorous, constant process of managing self to manage time. Right. I think there's a personal message that someone sent me. I think it's a very good question. That how do I stop family emotions from my personal growth? Very good question. Since it is a personal thing, I respect the privacy, and the question is important. That's the reason. If you remember, one of the places where I said to be happily successful, don't pursue growth in isolation. I think at the same time, I can't please everybody in life. Agreed. But you choose which of those relationships which are very important for you. Even taking care of them is also part of your success. Now, taking care of them is also part of success. Success is not necessarily only that materialistic kind of thing, right? Living as per your own rules is also, to me, you're a great guy. You're a great person. So if your family is important for you, and therefore you are ensuring that you take them along the path in your growth, and you've grown as a person within you, not necessarily in the eyes of the world. That's a different thing. I know somebody who quit their very well paying jobs in Delhi and relocated to a, and the reason that person quoted me was, I want to take care of my elderly parents. For the world, that guy might have been a fool. Oh, you should have found other ways of doing things. Why did you give up that kind of pushy job? You could have grown. You're still very young and all that. But who am I to judge that person? That person's growth was very holistic. He says taking care of my critical people is also part of my success. And if someone has defined it that way and then made the choices accordingly, I admire that person. And that's where the conviction is important, the courage to stand up to all this criticism, which is outward. So family emotions, if family is important, then let them be part of your overall growth scheme. I think that's my quick response. Do relationship play a positive role in anyone's personal growth? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And relationships don't happen. I think they revolve around your communication. It's what you speak is what builds as relationship. And there are umpteen number of people who spoil their relationships through miscommunication and poor communication or under communication. How do we know about ourselves? Excellent question. How do we know about ourselves? What a lovely question it is. $1,000,000 question. And that's exactly what I try to achieve, through these 5 courses that I have put together. But these are 5 aspects of self, but there is so much more about self to learn. I think that's a constant journey. The best suggestion that I can give is let the process of introspection keep happening on a constant basis. Introspection and looking within. I think that is going to be the best teacher. Dr. Raj can do this, but the best teacher is within you, who can make you think, keep on developing. Yes, I think there's another that I've received. How do you perceive other people? There are plenty of tools that particularly when you're growing as a person in your stature or position and or in organizations, feedbacks is something that comes very rarely. People don't come and walk up and start giving you feedback. When you're junior, maybe you receive much more feedback. Now you need to be. This is another thing that I've learned from one of my very early bosses was you need to be very perceptive about gauging from the way people are responding, whether they're truly respecting you or they're actually trying to please you. And you will be able to figure it out. For that, I think you need to be very perceptive. In a very lighter sense, if you're able to differentiate between what is a true flower and what is a plastic flower, I think we should be able to figure it out, how people are perceiving this. That's a very poetic way of answering that question, but that's the point. I should be able to figure out whether people are genuinely respecting me or people are just trying to please me. Prayer is nothing but self-talk. Prayer is one way of calming the mind. I mean, according to me, first is the calming the mind. But after that, talking to yourself is a dialogue that happens. Calming the mind is not sufficient to really talk to yourself. Calming the mind is the starting point. Yeah, prayer could be a good starting point to calm the mind from all the noise all around. But after that, I think you need to ask yourself some questions and then pose the question, listen to that inner voice. I think all of that is going to be very important. How would my process of growth be affected if I went easier on myself? Absolutely. I'm not saying it should be tough with you, but I think you need to be passionate about what you do. To prepare this PPT, if I spent 2 hours or 3 hours of last night, I'm not trying to be hard on myself. I enjoy doing that, so I did it. It's just not about, after you commit to something, I don't think anything is hard on you, according to me. Hard is when you start pushing yourself doing things that you don't like doing. I think to me, that is more difficult. I think I've already responded to some other thing how to get clarity about what you want to do. This itself is becoming biggest struggle. If you don't mistake me, I think this is exactly where maybe my very first course that I mentioned, personal visioning and the life goals, that might actually help you, because this is the question that I try to explore, that how to get that clarity about what I want. And maybe actually I would recommend two. One is that. The other one that I can quickly think of is in the other course on designing happier careers. I ask this question: what keeps you going? What are your drivers? What are you running after? What is that? What are you chasing? These are the kind of questions. And through a process of you interacting with me through these videos, you will actually discover these answers for yourself. I think it's a very dialoguing kind of a thing, because sitting all alone, it could help, but I think we are all interactive thinkers. According to me, we are all much more interactive thinkers. When you dialogue with one more person, I think we get stimulated and we go deeper, right? Yeah. How do we control my mind and emotions? I think that's my mind and family emotions. I think it's all about balancing our own emotions and emotional, control. And everyone, if you're a human being, you do go through all your, emotions. Otherwise, you'll be like machines. But as the saying goes, emotions manage you, or you manage emotions? Emotions are important, but who manages who? Whether emotions manage you or you manage emotions. You managing emotions is a better option. And that's something that requires a lot of practice. And of course, it's a science by itself. Maybe in one of my future, thanks to this question, it is prompting me, maybe in one of my future courses, I'll work on this aspect. Great. So I think we have exceeded by 10 minutes, and I try to respond to all the questions in the chat box. Now let me, stop sharing this. So once again, thank you so much for this webinar. As I was mentioning, if you had jotted down at least 5 questions for you to think beyond this webinar, I think my time is very well utilized, and so is your time. So thank you so much for giving me this platform to share the work that I'm doing, currently, and it's satisfying. What kind of satisfaction I'm deriving out of the whole thing. So Divya seems to have given some contacts. In case you have further questions about the topics that we discussed today, you can write to that mail ID that Divya shared, and we'll be happy to respond to all your questions. So thanks so much for joining, and I got so many senior people, very diverse kind of audience. I hope I was of some. I hope 1 hour has been nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, each and everyone, for your active participation. Hope this webinar was impactful and useful. So, if you have any further queries or concerns about this webinar, so you can write to us. I have given the mail ID in the chat box. Please do take a screenshot of it also, and then please do write to us. We'll be glad to answer all of your questions. And also, if you have any kind of queries regarding the Drraj courses, if you want to take up the course or if you want to take it for your team, please do contact me. I've given my contact number. So yeah, so thank you so much, each and everyone, for the active participation.